I actually put on some clothes today instead of a jogging suit. So, I'm back, baby. I'm back.
You got a fresh cut today. Got a fresh cut yesterday. Look good. Sound good. Well, that's what it's supposed to be, but
all dressed up, nowhere to go.
That's me every weekend. But I'm jacked. This is the first weekend. Like, you want to know why I'm excited for this weekend? No plans. Nothing.
That's right, because you had to move.
It's between moving and the holidays and, 85 different family Christmases to go to. And it just, it's finally a calm weekend. It's the first regular weekend in the new year. But we were not live on Facebook and YouTube when the show first opened up. So we are live on Facebook now. Search The Justin Kinner Show. Follow along. ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. But to prove that the New Year, New Me thing has not been a hoax and that I'm serious about it, Bengals fans, you're going to like this opening segment. Because it's been a week of me just looking back and admitting that I'm wrong on a lot of things. I don't know if I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong on this, because I do think that the perception of the Bengals franchise is still pretty poor. But Charlie got me thinking. Charlie's not wrong. I'm willing to admit that Charlie was right. How about this? Okay, it did get me to thinking. With the Bengals winning the AFC North this year, I don't care how it happened, luck, health, whatever. They won the AFC North championship. And here's why Bengals fans need to stop getting mad at me if I bring up the fact that it took the Ravens and Browns having COVID and just injuries galore from week 2 on, is because I'm looking at the last 10 years of AFC North champs. I can't tell you one significant thing about any of those seasons other than the fact that they won those years. Okay, like that. It's as simple as that. So 10 years from now, no one's going to remember that. Yeah, put an asterisk next to that season because the Browns and Ravens are they're AFC North champs, and this could be the start to something big for Cincinnati. You never know. But I got to looking. The last 10 AFC North titles, Kev. How many have the Steelers won since 2012?
Since 2012, I'm going to say the Steelers have won 3.
The Steelers have won 4.
Okay.
They have won more AFC North titles than anyone else in that 10-year span.
You ain't got the black and yellow music ready for me?
No black and yellow music. How many do you think the Ravens have won in that stretch? Since 2012, a 10-year stretch.
I'm going to say they won 4.
They've won 3.
Vice versa, flip-flop.
So if you do the math, how many have the Cincinnati Bengals won in that stretch? Knowing that the Browns have won at Goose Egg.
What did you say? The Steelers won?
Steelers 4, Ravens 3.
Wow. Really?
The Bengals have won 3.
Wow.
Punching this past week. So, Charlie, to prove that I am not a hater, I am willing to explore this conversation, but it gets better, Bengals fans. The perception of this franchise, and I don't help it because I help fuel the fire on these airwaves. Now, luckily, it's a small mic, and I don't have a lot of influence, but you can say I'm a nobody, but you can't say I'm a nobody because I trigger you guys. Nobody. If I was a nobody, I wouldn't trigger anybody. Nobodies don't get reactions from people. I get a lot of reaction from you people, so don't tell me I'm a nobody. I'm not anybody, but I'm not a nobody. I'm kind of a tween buddy. I'm in between. Like, I don't know. But I'm willing to entertain this. Charlie, I really hope you're listening because I'm telling Charlie he's right and that I was wrong on disrespecting the franchise's success because, honestly, in a 10-year span, I know this sounds weird, the Bengals have been equally as dominant as the Ravens and Steelers. The problem is that the Ravens have a Super Bowl.
Right.
That's not the problem, I guess, but that's where the separation becomes. But if your goal every year is to compete, now everyone says every year you should compete for a Super Bowl. Super. That's not how this works, though, because not every year you're in position to win a Super Bowl. But at the very least, I mean, there's bad teams in position to make the playoffs this year. The Browns have been bad for a while. And if the Bengals were to lose to the Chiefs like they were supposed to, the Browns and Bengals would be playing for the division this weekend. So, you know what I mean? Like bad teams have been in contention and it all sorts itself out. But Kev, we went through the division title breakdowns, but how about playoff appearances? How many So the Steelers have 4 AFC North championships since 2012, the last 10 years. The Ravens have 3, and the Bengals have 3, and the Browns have goose egg. But how about playoff appearances?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how many playoff appearances in the last 10 years have your Steelers made?
5.
5 is correct.
Yeah, they've only won the wild card. Well, got a wild card, not winning the division once. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
So how many playoff appearances for the Ravens?
6.
5.
Okay.
5. And how many playoff appearances for the Bengals?
4.
5.
5.
5. The Cincinnati Bengals since 2012, they made it in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, and then 2022.
Really?
5 playoff appearances.
Oh, okay. That's including this year.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
because this year.
Got it. Okay.
So Charlie caught me off guard earlier in the week, and I brushed it off because that's what I do with Charlie. Because Charlie, usually I'd say 98% of the stuff that comes out of that dude's mouth is nonsense. But the 2%, he was spot on. That if you look at the last 10 years, as much as I bash the Bengals and as much as I prop up the Browns, even though I'm not delusional, I know that the Browns are still a joke. Kev, you could back me up with that. I've always said that even last year's playoff run and even the win, it doesn't eliminate the fact that the Browns are still a joke of a franchise. They can't get out of their own way. Look at this year. But I've always kept the Bengals down, looked down on the Bengals. But let's be clear, the Bengals in the last 10 years, they've been equally as dominant as the Ravens and equally as dominant as the Steelers. So I do understand why Bengals fans get so caught up in the constant bashing of the franchise that actually does way more than most franchises in the NFL. The Browns, as much as I bash the Bengals, the Browns would love to have said that they've made the playoffs 5 times in the last 10 years. They've made it once in the last 10 years. Once. So it's just one of those things where I am willing, in the New Year, New Me era of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street and Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, I'm willing to admit when I was wrong. I'm not saying the Bengals are a good franchise. They're not. But to sit there and say that they are one of the biggest jokes in the NFL, I can't do that. 5, when they clinched the division, that was their 3rd AFC North title in the last 10 years. That was their 5th. They clinched their 5th playoff appearance in the last 10 years. That puts them on par. They're dead even with playoff appearance totals for the Ravens and the Steelers. You can't deny that. Mm-hmm. So it's either, no, the Bengals are still a joke, or maybe the Ravens and Steelers aren't as good as we thought. What is it? I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the Bengals and say it's tough to make the damn playoffs.
Yeah.
That having talent alone doesn't guarantee you make the playoffs. Look at the Browns. So there you go, Bengals fans. As we close out the week, the first week of 2022, the New Year, New Me era, I am giving you props. I am admitting that I'm not wrong. I'm not admitting I'm wrong because I'm not willing to budge and say that this franchise isn't bad, because I still think it's a bad franchise, but I don't think it's a joke. I think it's a bad franchise. It needs improvements, but I don't think it's a joke. And the thing is, you've been able to do this with a joke of an owner. Imagine if you had an owner that invested into this team properly. Now, I give him credit. He has opened up the wallet the last couple of years. Talked about that $200 million defense. They've hit on a lot of their draft picks, which is something they weren't doing before. I focus on the position groups that they don't hit on, which is the offensive line. That's been garbage as far as free agents are concerned, and the draft. But overall, they just keep on clicking. Now they have a franchise quarterback that potentially has a look of a future MVP, in the making. So there you go, Kev. I don't know if you were expecting me to do that.
Definitely wasn't. That definitely wasn't in the show notes.
So, but yes, I just was thinking of Charlie earlier. I'm like, I am curious. He did bring that up, and then a graphic came across on social media that I was like, that's what Charlie brought up the other day. Charlie's not wrong. The Bengals have the same amount of AFC North titles as the Ravens in the last 10 years and one less than the Steelers in the last 10 years. And they have the same amount of playoff appearances as the Steelers and the Ravens the last 10 years. You can't deny it. So it's either that the Bengals are a better franchise than I give them credit for, or maybe the Ravens and Steelers aren't as good as what we say they are. I don't think that's the case, because we know the Ravens and Steelers are a great franchise. I'm not willing to say the Bengals are a great franchise, but they've been very impressive in the last 10 years, more so than I give them credit for.
I think it all comes down to their playoff record. And I know we're definitely going to talk about this a ton next week. And, we want to make sure we show due respect to this year's team. But I know as soon as the clock strikes midnight on Sunday and we turn from the last week of the regular season to the playoffs, the rhetoric is going to change to, is this the year the Bengals finally get off the snide and win their first playoff game in X amount of years? And I personally think that's totally unfair. And I am not a Cincinnati Bengals fan, but I'm a realist. You can't put the pressure and ownership on this legacy or this term of the Bengals. This isn't the Marvin Lewis Bengals during its first run. This isn't the second run with the Marvin Lewis Bengals. This is a totally new regime. all new players, all new coaching staff. This is a new regime. So if they don't win their first round matchup, yes, they'll say the Bengals haven't won a playoff game in X amount of years, but I don't think that you can put that pressure and that, well, y'all haven't got it done, because you know what? Half these dudes, or 90% of these dudes, were in middle school when the Bengals were in the playoffs last time. You know what I'm saying? They were in high school, if that. So, like, they have nothing to do with that. I mean, shoot, you talk about how young Zach Taylor is. Zach Taylor probably was in college then, or not even in college, I don't even think. Zach Taylor's only a couple years younger than a lot of his players. So I don't think you can put that on this team. I think they have a great chance to do some things in the playoffs, but I just don't think that's going to be fair starting on Monday, because that's exactly what's going to happen on Monday. People are going to bring that up, and I just don't think that's fair.
Yeah, so we're getting some feedback in the chat section. Again, we're live on Facebook. I made it when the Bengals officially clinched on Sunday. You know, I've made jokes this week, but I'm going to be serious here. I appreciate all of our listeners. I really do. I know I get accused of being disrespectful to you guys. Look, you know what? How many of all of our listeners, a tiny percent of listeners actually call into a show. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a bad show like this one or a popular show that takes a lot of it doesn't matter. A tiny percent. So you guys use interactions I have with a few callers on the regular and think that I treat everyone that way. I don't. Okay, I don't. But I know how cool it is when your team makes the playoffs, and I was like, I'm not going to make this. I'm not going to sit there and spend all week telling you why your team's bad, even though you just won the division. I want to make sure we have a fun time with this. So that's what the goal of this week was. So you don't have to believe me, but I think 5 straight shows of this, you have to start believing me a tad. But I want to make sure we're having good conversations about this team, because this team's pretty damn good, despite everything I've told you about them, going back to last offseason. But I'm curious people's thoughts. I'm willing to admit that, hey, I'm going to change my thoughts a little bit, because when you look at this, one more time, if you're just tuning in, the Bengals and Ravens have both won the AFC North 3 times in the last 10 years. But we look at the Ravens, not we. I know you Bengals fans are like, The mass perception is that the Ravens are just a million times better organization than the Bengals. And I think they are a better organization. You know, they've been to multiple Super Bowls. They've won multiple Super Bowls. I mean, they've won the Super Bowl, in the last 2 decades, so that goes a long way. Mm-hmm. And then that's the thing. The narrative of the Bengals at the beginning of the 2010s was, well, man, they're starting to make the playoffs. They made it 5 straight years, but 5 straight early exits. And then The narrative was no longer the Bengals are a playoff team. The narrative is, man, they can't get out of the first round.
Right.
That was a individualized perception of Peyton Manning for the longest. I mean, Peyton Manning's one of the best of all time. We know this. But if you go back to not even the early stages of his career, but for even past the midway point, it took a long time for Peyton to kind of shake off that, I'm a regular season quarterback and can't get it done in the playoffs. He started winning all his Super Bowls in the back half of his career.
Right.
That wasn't like Peyton dominant from beginning. You're seeing Patrick Mahomes win Super Bowls, win MVPs, do all that stuff in the first couple years of his career. But that wasn't Peyton Manning. It took forever to shed that perception. Okay?
It took him a couple years to ramp up to become Peyton Manning. I mean,
that's either because of that era, or because of him. I don't know what that's more of, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it wasn't like Patrick Mahomes where it was an instant, star right off the bat.
Yeah, it was. I think it has a lot to do with the era, and I think when you are a Peyton Manning and you do get drafted number 1, and they put everything on your shoulders from the word go. I think he got, I won't say benefit of the doubt the first couple of years, but people understood, like, man, this dude is super talented, and they're just basically rolling him out there without, the necessary pieces to win. That's why he's turning the ball over. And then probably want to say, I think it was like year 3, they end up going to the playoffs and everything like that. And then that little stretch between whatever year 3 and year, I want to say like 8, and they didn't win a Super Bowl. That's where it started coming up. He's a regular season quarterback. Was that Skip Bayless who came up with that phrase?
If it's a hate on somebody, it's probably Skip Bayless. Let's just be good. But we're live on Facebook. Head to Facebook and let us know your thoughts on this, or give us a call, 518-1410. Bengals fans, were you even surprised? So as I mentioned, the Bengals and Ravens each with 3 AFC North titles since 2012 in the last 10 years. The Steelers only have 1 more than both of them. Playoff appearances in the last 10 years. All right, we look at the Bengals, or we look at the Steelers and Ravens as these two powerhouses, and that the AFC North is just a big joke with the Browns and Bengals at the bottom. The Browns, unfortunately, are the only joke at the bottom because when you start doing the math, the Bengals have won the same amount, or they have made the same amount of playoffs as the Bengals and Steelers, or as the Ravens and Steelers in the last 10 years. 5 playoff appearances for the Ravens, Steelers, and Bengals.
How far did you look back?
I just did the last 10. I was just looking at the last 10 years. I'm sure it goes beyond that, but like we all live in a smaller world.
Yeah. No, I had a trivia question for you because I know this off the top of my head. When was the last time the Cleveland Browns won a division title?
We'll be back. 518-1410. That's the number to call in. Kev Nash, Justin Kidder. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mainly clear, sunny, and cold, a high near 22. Tonight's going to be clear and cold, a low near 13. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny, a high near 40. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Propane, keeping utilities simple and families warm since 1952. See how and more at culletpropane.com.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. Whether you want to learn Spanish for future travel plans, French to connect with extended family, or maybe German to land a new job, Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you'll actually use. All you need is 15 minutes a day, and you'll be on your way to confidently speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel is designed by real language experts using a modern conversation-based technique that makes learning fun, engaging, and best of all, memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases. Then sentences gradually get more complex. Soon you're practicing short conversations about real life topics. And with 14 languages to choose from and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll be sure to learn what matters most to you. Babbel, language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
34 teams, 19 games, all in 4 days, live from Trenton Arena in Kettering. It's the 2022 Premier Health Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Invitational, January 14th through the 17th. Don't miss out on a chance to see some of the best local and national teams and players. Huntington Prep, Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary's, Wayne, Dunbar, Centerville, and more. It's the 2022 Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Invitational, live from Trenton Arena in Kettering. Get your tickets at flyingtothehoop.com/tickets.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
And we're back with Limu, Emu, and Doug for the final question. Category is things you climb. All right, Limu, what do you think? You sure? We're going with Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. Oh, so close. We were looking for stairs. Huh. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Only Wendy's serves a better breakfast with a better biscuit. Our hot, buttery breakfast biscuits are loaded with a fresh cracked egg, cheese, and your choice of bacon or sausage. Did we mention the part where Wendy's biscuits are hot and buttery?
Wendy's breakfast biscuits, hot and buttery.
So don't take a chance with those other guys. Bet on a better breakfast with Wendy's bacon or sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
The Dayton Fire Department is hiring and accepting applications beginning January 4th, running through February 20th. If you have a determined attitude and are looking for an exciting job with great pay, superior training, with college credits available after training, excellent benefits, and a rewarding career, then the Dayton Fire Department needs you. Visit joindaytonfire.com for more information today. Minorities especially encouraged to apply. The DFD is an equal opportunity employer. The Dayton Fire Department. Come live the dream.
I know you've been waiting a little bit longer than normal.
Jen's manicure spot needs an extra pair of hands.
Who's at the front desk right now?
Someone who's handy with everything from nail files to spreadsheet files.
Deidre's not coming in today, but we have that whole bachelorette party.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents. And Doug.
Don't you just love the smell of old books?
Shh, this is a library.
Sorry, ma'am. We're looking for a book titled Liberty Mutual Customizes Your Car Insurance So You Only Pay for What You Need.
I don't think we carry that, but check nonfiction.
He really does devour literature.
Please leave.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Fed up with companies selling your data? DuckDuckGo is on it. They help millions of people like you take back their privacy online. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
NFL fans, the season is finally here. Get your picks submitted at wingam.com. Click on contest and enter the Pro Football Challenge. Weekly winners will win $20 in Frickers Fun Bucks. Get to wingam.com and get your NFL picks submitted now. Incredible! Good luck.
All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner, Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook. Like, follow along. You can watch the show weekdays live from 3 to 6. Or you can watch it live on YouTube, wherever you choose to watch, of course. But YouTube's pretty cool as well. So like, subscribe right there. That's the one thing that we did grow a ton. Our Facebook page and the YouTube channel in 2021. That was a big emphasis for, our bosses on top of us. And you guys helped us get that number up. Not as high as we want it to be, but got to start somewhere. And you guys have definitely been a big help with that. So thank you. As far as that's concerned. Picking up with where we left off, Bengals fans, the new year, new me has continued. The Bengals, less Bengals bashing, and I have always said when they become good enough to talk about, as far as being good, I'll talk good about. They're good. Won the division. Won the division for the third time in the last 10 years. And the reason that's significant is because the way I talk about the Bengals and with the way anyone that's not a Bengals fan or Bengals media talks about the Bengals are trash. They're garbage. They definitely do not hold any weight compared to the Baltimore Ravens or the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, right? By the way, the Browns are a joke of an organization. No, I'm not flip-flopping. I'm still a Browns fan. I'm still pro Baker, by the way. Baker's not better than Joe Burrow, but I'm still a big Baker Mayfield fan. That ain't going to change. But I've always been honest. The Browns are still a joke of an organization, more of a joke of an organization than I thought. I thought they were down swimming with the Bengals. The Bengals are actually above the Browns. Still bad. It's like me. I'm 5'5". You can find someone that's 5'4". I'm taller than somebody that's 5'4", but I'm not tall. That's the Bengals. You're better than the Browns. It doesn't mean you're a great organization. It just means you're better than the Browns, but you're better than the Browns. But 3 AFC North titles in the last 10 years. That's how many the Ravens have, and that's one less than what the Steelers have had in the last 10 years. It's pretty damn good. Playoff appearances in the last 10 years, 5. 5. With the way we talk about the Ravens and the Steelers, they're in the playoffs every year, right? False. 5 playoff appearances for the Ravens, 5 playoff appearances, for the Steelers, 5 playoff appearances for the Bengals on the last 5 years. Now, some of you guys have made some interesting points in the chat section. We'll start with Ann Anderson. Shout out to Ann. Always, she's all about the positivity. Gotta love Ann. Ann says, for the first time in ages, the local sports football fans have hope for the future. Both the Browns and Bengals have a core group that gives us all a little hope. Now, if my Broncos can join the party. There you go. Doug Toby says, Kevin hit the nail on the head. Marvin Lewis was there. It was a constant revolving door of assistant coaches, and they could never make the big game adjustment during the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So eventually it was, yes, you like right now, by the way, keep in mind, things do change. It's awesome this year. The Bengals won the division. They're in the playoffs. But remember, what stretch would that have been for Cincinnati? It was that first playoff appearance they had. So let's go back. So they made the playoffs in 2005 and 2009. But the big playoff push really started in 2011.
Yeah.
In 2011, I remember that season because Bengals fans were jacked. I mean, it was like, okay, in 2009 you made it, didn't make it in 10, but for some reason 2011 felt like, okay, we're here. I think just the talent on both sides of the ball too, outside the quarterback, was just stacked. But like getting to the playoffs, like it didn't matter losing in the first round or not. Of course, you wanted to win, but it didn't matter. You just wanted. You were just happy to be there. It lost to the Texans, 31-10 or whatever the hell that score was, but lost to the Texans. But it didn't matter because you were in the playoffs, and that's all that mattered. Then you make it in 2012, lost in the first round again to the Texans. Then 13, you lose to the Chargers, and then now you're getting a little impatient. It's like, okay, playoffs 3 straight years. All right, enough. Like, we got to do something when we get there. Then you get there in 14, lose to the Colts 26-10 again, and it's like, damn. And then you make it the 5th year, and that year, like the 14 and 15 years, winning's always fun. But it didn't feel as fun. It was just like, yeah, we're supposed to.
Right.
Like this year, like every win that the Bengals had, they let me know about it. They let everyone know about it. We won, baby, because you won 6 games in 2 years. It was a freaking nightmare. All right, but eventually, you don't do anything in this first round. You get there next year, don't do anything again. That became the narrative of that early 2010 run. And that overshadowed the success of the franchise, unfortunately, right? So the Ravens do a lot of the same thing. They don't have a ton of playoff success. Lamar's, experiencing that right now, where he finally got his first playoff win last year. But that would have been the 3rd straight playoff appearance for Lamar Jackson with the loss in the first round. That would have started to become the narrative more than oh my God, the Ravens are in the playoffs with Lamar Jackson. So that's what happened with the Bengals. This year, it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens in the first round of the playoffs, folks. I don't think that narrative from the 5 straight in the early 2010s carries into this.
Right.
I think you can lose in the first round and it's not the end of the world. You want to win, of course. You should win. I think you have the talent to do it. But like that's where these narratives start to take over. But the perception is that the Bengals have been nowhere close to the Ravens, nowhere close to the Steelers, and that's not true. We think that the Ravens and Steelers make it every year. They made it the same exact amount as the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's what's crazy about all of this. Some other feedback. Chad on Facebook, Kev, says, as a Bengals fan, I will say this. When the Ravens and Steelers have down years, which, by the way, this is a down year for the Steelers. They won 9 freaking games. How about that? He makes a good point. When the Ravens and Steelers have down years, they're not going 2-14. When Cincy has a bad year, they're horribly bad. Is that the difference? What is that? Why is it? They're equally successful as far as playoff appearances. But
yeah,
is he right?
Yeah, I mean, you go back to Mike Tomlin, who's never had a losing season. They're 8-7-1 right now, trying to get that 9th win versus the Ravens on Sunday. And then you look at, I think the Ravens have had a couple losing seasons under Harbaugh, because I believe I saw this one stat talking about Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, yeah, and everything like that. And they brought up his comps would be Harbaugh and what's the coach of the Saints? I'm drawing a blank.
Sean
Payton. And they've had losing seasons. And they were just saying, we know these guys are great coaches. So is he, and everything like that. So, yeah, I think it is that. I think it is like the Cincinnati Bengals, after that loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers in that wild card game where things just went haywire for the Bengals, the bottom fell out. And it took them until now to recover from that. Like, the bottom literally fell out from beneath them, and they just didn't know what to do. Not only the players, not only the coaches, but the organization. It was just like, it's almost felt like those teams, they make it to the Super Bowl and they had that Super Bowl hangover after they lose, and they just can't get their footing right. And it took till now for the Bengals to get their footing right, and they're peaking at the right time. They got a ton of talent, especially on that offensive side of the ball. So now's the time to capitalize, man.
So Baltimore, a bad stretch for them. They went 8-8 in 16 and 9-7 in 17. And that 9-7 year, if I'm not mistaken, no, that would have been 18, Lamar's rookie year. But that 8-8 and 9-7, that's a bad year for Baltimore. All right, they went 11-5 last year, 14-2 the year before, 10-6 the year before, 9-7, 8-8. Their worst season the last decade was a 5-11 season in 2015. That's the worst, and I don't remember anything about that team, to be quite honest with you. But they don't lose. They just, and I think that's the difference. Is Cincinnati, to their credit, it's like Baltimore missed, like Pittsburgh will miss the playoffs this year as a 9-win team, most likely. Like when the Browns miss the playoffs, it's bad. Like, and this is good bad Cleveland. Bad Cleveland used to be that 5-win team, that 4-win team. And Cincinnati, and to that last caller's point or that last poster's point, it's when the Bengals are when the Bengals are non-playoff, they're bad non-playoff teams. When the Steelers miss the playoffs, they're that fringe competitive team. Like they can maybe pick a win against somebody in the playoff field and probably have a win over a few. But that's an interesting way of looking at that as far as that's concerned. But 518-1410, 518-1410, that's the number to jump in on the conversation. Doug Toby also said, proud of you, Justin. Maybe you could jump ship and join us next year. That's not what this is. I'm not being a flip-flopper here. I don't flip-flop. When you're bad, I say you're bad. When you're good, I say you're good. They're good. You guys are never happy. Even when I compliment your team, you got to find a way to try to, it is what it is. Brian Staley, Kev, he says, been to the playoffs only 4 times since the 85 Super Bowl. Move over Bengals. The Bears have the worst front office. I mean, you got to think, the Panthers have been to one Super Bowl a decade. They got there with Cam Newton, got there with Jake Delhomme. The Jets are a bad franchise. I'm just trying to think of some other because someone brought up the Panthers in here, and I'm like, the Panthers are a better organization. By the way, are the Panthers a better organization than Cincinnati?
No.
They've been to a Super Bowl this decade and last.
Jake Delhomme.
With Jake Delhomme, that was the second Patriot Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to hate and just say for sure they're a better franchise than. I'd have to go back. But they've had their Cam Newtons and their Steve Smiths, and they've had their star runs. They have good players now. They're just not able to put it all together. But
Bears lost to the Colts in 07?
No, I think that was the early. I think it would be 9 or 10 or 11 in that stretch. I'd have to go back and look, but I was in college. I just remember because I was in college. I think it was 9.
Okay.
Because I was living in this apartment in Saline, Ohio, and I remember watching it with friends. I think it was 09.
That was the Urlacher, Devin Hester, Rex Grossman was the quarterback.
I could be wrong. Bears fans, relax. But like the Bears, are the Bears a better organization than the Cincinnati Bengals? Everyone would say yes.
I think
and I'm starting to question it because it's a good point. What is the metric that you use to determine whether an organization is good or not? Is it as simple as white and black as playoff appearances or no? Playoff wins or not? I don't know.
Does it depend on the position you play? Because if I'm a quarterback, I don't want to go to Chicago.
And they're not known for quarterback. Justin Fields, the sad thing is, it's one of the best quarterback seasons they've had, and it really wasn't that good. And if we weren't Buckeye, and let's be honest, if we weren't Buckeye fans around here, we would put Justin Fields in a bust category for the time being. No other rookie quarterback do we say, well, Zach Wilson, he's just bad, right? Why? Because we're not Jets fans and we're not BYU. We're not BYU fans. All right. But Zach Wilson, there's a lot of reasons why he's not playing well with the Jets, but we're not willing to give him that benefit of the doubt. We just say he's no good. But we as Buckeye fans, we're sitting over here. Yeah, we got to say the play calling's bad. The offensive line's not good. He doesn't have a lot of help. Why are we giving Justin Fields that benefit of the doubt? Joe Burrow didn't have a whole hell of a lot of help last year, and it was easy to pinpoint that he was going to be a star. Justin Fields didn't look like that. He had some moments, but he didn't have any consistency. That's where Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was thrown for 300 yards a game last year, 11 games into the season. had a bad offensive line. Had a bad offensive line this year. We all know what he's done this year. So I don't know. I don't know how much of a we've switched topics on accident here, but the Bears, it started with the Bears conversation.
For me, it's as simple as this. When we did the draft show, I was fearful for Justin Fields to go to the Chicago Bears. I think everything is coming to fruition that everybody knew was going to happen. They knew they were going to be bad on offense because they've always been bad on offense. There was going to be a lot of flip-flopping of the quarterback. There was going to be a lot of flip-flopping of who's calling the plays, just like it's always been under Nagy there. When they go to the spread offense, Mitch Trubisky played good football. He didn't want to run the spread offense because it wasn't his offense. So they lost games. And then, oh, man, I'm about to lose my job. Throw Mitch back in there. We run the spread. Oh, bang, we backdoor into the playoffs. This happened the exact same way. They changed the play caller. Justin Fields has good games. Matt Nagy starts calling plays again. He doesn't have good games. So Matt Nagy's about to get fired. Now Justin Fields will be on his second head coach and second offensive coordinator. It's a recipe for disaster. And just because I'm a Buckeye fan and obviously I'm rooting for Justin Fields, I wanted Justin Fields to land with the Patriots, land with the 49ers, because those are better situations. Going to the Chicago Bears in that situation with Nagy was going to be a recipe for disaster. And that's exactly what happened, unfortunately for him. So hopefully they make the right decision, whomever that the coach is going to be, and bail them out. But I mean, I can't remember a good Chicago Bears quarterback for an extended period of time. Yeah, there's been guys that had good seasons here and there, like Rex Grossman. He had a good season the season they went to the Super Bowl. But I can't remember the Chicago Bears like having a lineage of quarterbacks. Think about the Colts. Like they had Peyton Manning. Then they went to Andrew Luck. You want to rewind the clock back to the olden times, they had Johnny Unitas was one of their quarterbacks. Look at Green Bay. They went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? They had Bart Starr as their quarterback way back in the day. Like, it's just some organizations make right decisions and some organizations just don't.
Yeah, the Bengals have the Bengals have more playoff appearances in the last 2 decades than the Bears. So the Bears made the playoffs in 2001. That was the Brian Urlacher year. 2005, 6, 10, 18, 20. And so I don't know how we got into this, but I'm trying to think of the perception of these franchises that are better than the Bengals. I think everyone would say the Bears franchise is better than the Bengals, but the question is it? I don't know. I mean, what star? They haven't had a star quarterback since the 85 Super Bowl. And even then, that wasn't like an elite quarterback that you would say, oh man, imagine if another team had him to build a team around. That was the 85 Bears. They were known for their defense. I don't know. Bengals or Bears, better franchise. I think everyone in this area is going to say Bengals, of course, but I'm just kind of curious, if we were doing this show elsewhere, what would the perception be? I think everyone would say the Bears is better, but I don't know if they are. Right. But the Bengals create their own mess because, we're talking about someone's bringing up the front office in the chat. I'm like, but the problem is the Bengals, it's not because they're, provocative and they don't sit here and they don't do it, they do it the Bengal way. There's no such thing as the Bengal way in regards to having a positive perception of what the Bengal way is. They don't have they have a makeshift GM. Over the last couple of years, they've started to kind of put people in position without giving them an actual title, or at least letting, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just think that Mike Brown is to blame for the perception of that organization. It's strange to me. Football, everyone gets more credit than they deserve. And I believe it's the one sport where there are too many people that get too much credit when things go well, and there's too many people that get too much blame when things don't go well. And I think it's the Mike Brown effect, where no matter what this organization does, there's still always going to be that, like I keep hearing it now. If you listen to Colin, you listen to other sports radio shows, it's Joe Burrow's doing this in spite of the Bengals. Is that fair? I don't know. The Bengals, it's not like the Browns where and it's a different situation for Baker Mayfield. They were looking for a quarterback forever. The Browns have done things that they have never done since coming back to Cleveland, since they got Baker Mayfield. He gets no credit for it. Why? It's not a good organization. You can't look back at Cleveland and say, Cleveland's always been good. They could have plugged any quarterback in there and done this. I don't believe that they can. If they could, then they could have brought in these free agents years ago. They could have got these draft picks years ago, but they didn't. I think it took getting the right quarterback for it all to gel and come together. And it's that same quarterback that has ungelled everything. We'll get to that later. The Bengals have had decade after decade success that maybe hasn't resulted in playoff wins or Super Bowls, but they're always there. They always have star players. You always have your Chad Johnsons. You always have your Carson Palmers, and now your Joe Burrows, and now your T. Higgins and your Jamar Chases. So I don't get it. Even the Cincinnati Bengals, when they succeed, it's not because of the franchise. It's because of somebody. You know what I mean? Like the Bengals are success. Like today, I keep hearing Collins say it's in spite of the Bengals organization that Joe Burrow's winning. And I'm like, really? Is that really what's going on? Like, I don't know, Kev. I don't know why that is.
I don't know either.
It's Mike Brown is my assumption.
Yeah. And you know what? We had an opportunity, and I totally forgot to ask them, like, if there was something going on behind the scenes with the Cincinnati Bengals when we had a couple of beat writers on yesterday. Is Mike Brown still heavily involved in player personnel and everything like that? So I totally forgot to ask that question. But yeah, you're right. The Cincinnati Bengals, from the perception of everybody out there, they had the perception of being cheap. They had the perception of getting good talent and taking care of the talent, but not having those pieces to get over the hump. And the continuity that they tried to have end up backfiring. So it just seems like everything that they tried to do backfired. So many people wanted Wilson, goodness gracious, I'm losing my mind. Lewis to be fired so many times, but they stood the course and everything like that until they couldn't anymore. So even when they went the continuity route, it didn't work out. So like even when they try to do it the way other teams do it, like, no, we're not going to do a massive turnover. Like you look up in Cleveland, there's a turnover in coaching staff and GM year after year. They stood the course with Marvin Lewis, and it still didn't turn out their way. So it was like, what's going on there? Because, when you start losing, and you start losing when you have talent, that's when people start getting upset, because those years with Andy Dalton, AJ Green were tearing it up. I know it seems like that was just such a long time ago, but there was a stretch during that playoff run where they were one of the baddest duos in the NFL. But it got to a point because of the playoff losses, people just overlooked it. You talked about it before, like that season going into the eventually loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, wins just didn't feel like it was enough.
Yep.
Winning games just wasn't enough. It was like only thing that mattered was getting a playoff win. And you didn't get that win, so it was all for nothing. Everything that you tried to do was for nothing, and that just left the team in turmoil. And now they're back. They're reloaded, not only on offense, but on defense. So they got an opportunity here, man. They have a real opportunity to make some noise and to get that stink off of them.
All right, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to jump in on the conversation. We'll talk Jim Harbaugh to the NFL. Yesterday or 2 days ago, we talked to ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, who's a big Raiders fan, and it sounds like that's where he could go. But if you talk to anyone that's close to the Bears organization, that seems like that's where it makes most sense for him to go. More of the Antonio Brown saga continues, and it's a story that gets weirder by not the day, but the hour, sometimes the minute. I will say this about Antonio Brown. I'm not defending him, but I do think that there's some cover-up stuff in Tampa going on. There does seem to be. I think they're taking advantage of the perception of Antonio Brown that, hey, we could just paint him to be a loose cannon because he has that perception.
Right.
I don't believe that the Buccaneers have been completely honest in how they've handled this situation completely. And I think that they're just trying to chalk it up to and counting on the perception of, yeah, well, we're going to side with the Bucs because, well, Antonio Brown's history. It's such a strange scenario. Antonio Brown, Jim Harbaugh, all that coming up around the corner. Plus, you like Manning cast. How would you like that same type of thing come baseball season, if there is a baseball season? Problem is, everyone loves the Mannings. How many people love Alex Rodriguez? And it involves Alex Rodriguez. We'll talk about that on the other side when we come back. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Hour 2 next.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com. untitled.roofing.com.
And now an important message from Exergen. A critical new FDA study proves that non-contact thermometers are not accurate. They also have inaccurate information on their labels regarding accuracy. New COVID strains are on the rise, and non-contact manufacturers are being irresponsible at a time when accuracy matters. Accurate temperature measurements are essential. Switch to Exergen because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers. 34 teams, 19 games, all in 4 days, live from Trent Arena in Kettering. It's the 2022 Premier Health Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Invitational, January 14th through the 17th. Don't miss out on a chance to see some of the best local and national teams and players. Huntington Prep, Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary's, Wayne, Dunbar, Centerville, and more. It's the 2022 Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Invitational, live from Trent Arena in Kettering. Get your tickets at flyingtothehoop.com/tickets.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Staples Connect is a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kinner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
You watch Manning cast?
Yes.
What do you think about it?
Funny. I watch
How
it
long
when
do you
it's.
watch it? Like, is it like?
Oh, no. I jump in and out.
I like the idea of it. I don't dislike it. I think Peyton Manning's hilarious. I think he's more. If it wasn't for Peyton, Eli, I don't think would work. Although I still love the day he flipped the double bird live on TV. FCC too did get called on that, by the way, because someone was offended by it. Whatever. But it definitely is very popular and popular for. Well, of course, everything football does is popular.
Right.
So is it the next big wave in media to have these types of shows for multiple sports? Like, it sounds like baseball is going to give it a shot.
Right.
I don't know if ManningCast works because it's Peyton Manning and because it's football. I don't know if you could do a version of this for basketball. I don't know if you could do a version of this for baseball and it work. I don't know if it works because of the style of it and what it is or because of the sport that it's about. I think you need the right guy to do it. Peyton Manning is the perfect guy to do it. I think that Tom Brady and a Peyton Manning, I think that that's something that'll happen at some point whenever this, Tom Brady will be part of it. Those two have great chemistry together. Point is I think the main reason ManningCast works is because it's the NFL and everything the NFL touches turns to gold. And yes, it is Peyton Manning. It's a perfect storm. It's a perfect fit. I like it. I tune in for it. Watched it this past Monday night with the Steelers-Browns game, and just watching the pure disgust on his face every time the Browns offense was on the field was classic. But it was cool because you're watching an all-time great react live to a game. One of the first times I remember, we've known Byers for a few years now, but one of the first times I remember, we know Byers real well. I watched a Buckeye game with him one time, and I'm like, oh, he's not the same. He changes. You can't. And he's even admitted this. He's not the same person watching a Buckeye game because he watches it different than us. But he yells and screams at the TV. He's seeing things we're not. He's watching it differently. And I'm not saying that's how Peyton is, but watching that show is kind of cool because Peyton's just he can't hide it. His face, it's organic. He's just reacting live to what's going on. And that's what I love about it. And I think that that's pretty dang cool. And I think it would work for other sports. It depends who's doing it. But watching Peyton Manning react to play calling, to the schemes, to the quarterback's decisions, to the offense. I think it's pretty dang cool. I remember watching a game, Ohio State game with Byers one time. I'm yelling just about random stuff. He's so detailed with what he's angry at. He's calling out things on the defense. He's like, oh, they needed to call this play. I don't even know what the hell that play is, Keith, but he's just barking stuff out at the TV that I'm like, so that's what I find cool about it. Watching a game with a former athlete, a former guy that played for that particular team is pretty neat. Watching Peyton Manning do it's pretty cool. Baseball wants to get on it as well.
Okay.
So 3-time MVP and World Series champion Alex Rodriguez will be joining forces with veteran New York baseball voice Michael Kay for 8 Sundays. So they've only committed to 8 Sundays throughout the season. That 162 marathon of a season. But hey, it's pace of play that's the problem. But yes, 8 games on Sunday Night Baseball. So Sunday Night Baseball with K-Rod is what they're calling it. So you have Manning Cast for the NFL.
Okay.
And it's called K-Rod for Sunday Night Baseball. 8 Sunday Night Baseball games will have K-Rod. It'll air live on ESPN2 alongside the traditional telecast, just like what you get with Manning Cast. I'm not against it. I think it's not going to work because it's A-Rod. And I don't know how many people like A-Rod. Here's the other problem with it. So ESPN's launching the Sunday Night Baseball with K-Rod featuring Michael Kay and A-Rod. Okay. It continues the longstanding tradition of ESPN creating unique alternate presentations across sports dating back to 2006. Okay, whatever. But it's going to be including a lot of the StatCast stuff and everything, which that's not my cup of tea, but super. Right. But you also picked a guy that is also one of your biggest names on your network that hates the analytics, that hates the stats. I love A-Rod when he calls games because I'm in the minority when it comes to the new wave of how baseball is being played today. So he's bashing it, and I'm getting a kick out of it. But I know that there are more people tuning in for a different taste. And I just don't know if A-Rod's going to be the right guy to do that. And I don't know who else you could. Pete Rose. Pete Rose is who I would have do this show. Not because we're an hour from Cincinnati, not because I'm a Reds fan, but there's not a whole lot of good personalities in baseball that you can give a show to and it be entertaining. Pete Rose is it. I know it couldn't work, but if you want, the reason Manning Cast works is because, yes, the concept is solid, but Peyton Manning takes it to that next level. The only guy that I could think of in baseball that could do this concept and take it to that next level, entertainment-wise, is Pete Rose. I know they couldn't, or maybe they can't. I don't know, but if I'm ESPN, I would have taken a chance. If I'm Fox, I'd take a chance. I'd do it. Pete Rose is gold. And when Fox used him for those MLB, for the World Series pregame shows, I could listen to him talk forever. He would be perfect. I wish that they would use Pete Rose for this Manning Cast version of this baseball type show. Again, if you're just tuning in, K-Rod, Michael Kay, New York ESPN radio personality, along with Alex Rodriguez, will be paired together for a baseball version of Manning Cast for Sunday Night Baseball, 8 Sundays throughout the upcoming season, whenever it starts, if it starts. It'll feature those two. I like the concept. I don't know if I like the pairing of it. I don't know if A-Rod's going to work. I want Pete Rose. I think a lot of people would love Pete Rose, but I know that logistically that wouldn't make sense.
The thing about A-Rod is he is still a polarizing guy from obviously his playing days, and then obviously him dating J-Lo for a hot second. He is a personality. And something that I've noticed is, now that his playing days are over, people are
Griffey. I'm saying Griffey. I'm sorry. My bad.
No, you're good.
My bad. Keep going.
I noticed that people don't hate him as much as they used to. People, he's all right. He's almost like Tony Romo when he's doing his telecast for baseball. How Tony Romo tells you to play right before it happens. I told you, Jim, and all that type of stuff. That's what A-Rod does on those Sunday night broadcasts and everything like that. I'm just not sure because I don't know Alex Rodriguez to be that guy that has a lot of connections to other players across MLB because everybody loves and knows the Manning brothers. They know everybody because they're quarterbacks. So when you have a Marshawn Lynch joining the Manning brothers, or then you have obviously the rapport that you have with a Tom Brady joining them and everything like that, it's just comic gold. And I mean, Peyton, he's hosted SNL before. You know what I'm saying? He's hosted the ESPYs before. If you're tuning in for those, I don't necessarily believe you're tuning in to watch the game. You're tuning in to see the antics, to see, two brothers rib each other. You're tuning in to hear goofy stories and everything like that. I don't know Alex Rodriguez to be that type of guy. Now, the NBA, I think there's a ton of guys that could do this.
Who for you would be?
I mean,
the NBA already has similar, like they have so many personalities covering the dang sport that, like, I mean, how many people on the panel does ESPN need for these pregame shows? Like, for one, Stephen A. I would love to watch Stephen A. watching a game. Like, he has enough on his plate. He does enough, but anyways, continue. But like Stephen A., I would love to see on a, Stephen A. cast of an NBA game finals, like watching him live react to the games going on. I think that would be entertaining. Who did you have in mind?
I would love to see Richard Jefferson and Kendrick Perkins.
The podcast, yeah.
I would love to see that. I would love to see them talk about the game, because you got a big man's perspective and then a wing's perspective, and them going back and forth and just having a good time. Like, okay, so the Manning cast, I don't watch the Manning cast when it's a game that I want to watch. Like the Steelers-Browns game, I never turned the Manning cast on at all, because that was a game I was invested in and a game that I wanted to watch. Now, I believe it was the Giants and somebody else. I'll basically watch the entire Manning cast because I could care less about the Giants. But only thing I wanted to see what Eli was going to say about his former team and how terrible of an organization they have turned into since he was even still playing there. So I watched a lot of the Manning cast for that. So I'm not sure how many people watch the Manning cast or just watching like to get behind the scenes information, because, everybody and their mom thinks they're a football aficionado and trying to get some more knowledge from the game and everything like that, or they're just tuning in because these two dudes together are funny. And that's why I tune in. I tune in because, man, these dudes are a riot. And my mom actually was the first person that told me about it. I saw the previews, but I never watched it. And I can't remember exactly which game it was. She was like, I was watching that Manning cast with Eli and Peyton. They remind me of you and your brother when y'all are watching football games, arguing with each other left and right. And so I checked it out one day and I called my brother in the middle. I was like, yo, these dudes act like us. Like, they act like regular brothers watching football. Like, that's pretty entertaining.
The jabs at one another. I mean, it's priceless.
Constantly.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
And like you said, the double bird, man, that is just like,
and
it goes on classic.
And people were criticizing how unprofessional. You know why he did that? Because that's how comfortable.
Right.
Like, it was just two brothers. It was just two dudes sitting together watching a game. That's what it came down to. And we are when we're at home watching games, whether we're watching it with friends or just at home that's how we watch games.
Right.
We're screaming at the TV. We're saying the same things they're saying it more, intelligently, of course, because they know the game better. But like, you know what I mean? Like, that's why it works. And I do think that the concept is there, but it's this stuff that baseball, like, it's baseball's own fault, because they've killed their history to the point to where you can't use your past. Football, if Peyton Manning couldn't do it, there's still a slew of guys that you can get to do this, and it would still be very entertaining, because they haven't killed the perception of their stars the way baseball has. Even now with baseball, one of the biggest names, one of the best teams in the last decade has been the Houston Astros, but every star that has been on those teams is untouchable moving forward now, because they've been tainted with the cheating scandal. It's not really baseball's fault, but it is baseball because it's under their umbrella. And it's like, you can't use Barry Bonds.
Right.
You could do a thing with Barry Bonds, but you can't, because everyone's like, they don't respect Barry Bonds anymore. You can't use Roger Clemens. You can't use Rafael Primero. You can't use Sammy Sosa. You can't use any of these guys that, Roger Clemens. You can't use any of these guys that would be a draw. I would tune in to hear Barry, but even if Barry Bonds may not have a big personality, to hear Barry Bonds on a telecast of like a Manning type cast would be huge. It'd be better than Alex Rodriguez. Alex Rodriguez, by the way, it's not the worst you could do. But it does scream to the limitations that we have when it comes to past stars that you can use. Derek Jeter would have been fun if he doesn't own a team right now. But like Pete Rose, it's baseball's fault why you can't use Pete Rose. He has been like the golden ticket for them since he was kicked out of the game, 89, so the year I was born. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man. Like, it's unfortunate. Ken Griffey, I'm going to make sure I give credit to whoever said Ken Griffey, because that was a good one. Ron Broadstock, he said Griffey would have been the correct pick. I would have Griffey is a great pick. Maybe they reached out to him, I don't know, but they pay Aaron a lot of money at ESPN. They got something to do. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Ann Anderson says, oh my God, I so agree. Give me Pete Rose and anybody. A-Rod is boring, too much into his image, won't make waves. Pete will. Pete has nothing to lose. Well, a bet. Theo says that, it's only interesting because they are brothers. Theo, I disagree. I think even if Eli wasn't there, Peyton and a revolving guest every week would still work. Peyton's that entertaining. But interesting, he's saying it's only works because they're brothers?
Well, not just because they're brothers. I mean, they are entertaining. Like, Peyton was entertaining before Eli was around. Before Eli was even in the NFL, he was like the go-to interview. He was the go-to personality. I mean, skits on SNL, skits with ESPN. He had a show on ESPN Plus before Eli even retired. So I think the draw is them being brothers, but ultimately the initial thing is because it's Peyton Manning, and like, oh man, well, his brother was pretty good at football too. And let's be clear, man, we didn't know Eli had a personality until this show. Like this, we're finally getting to see Eli's personality now. Like we knew that Peyton had one. We didn't know Eli had one until now. So yeah, it is because they're brothers. And I mean, it's still entertaining.
With the NBA one, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because I would put, who's your dream Manning cast for the NBA? You said Richard Jefferson. Here's who I would love. Stephen A. And he's not even a former player, but that's just how you think of Stephen A. You think of him in the NBA. Stephen A. with Charles Barkley.
Oh goodness.
And honestly, you already see these two work together. Anyways, Shaq and Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do think that who's the main guy that drives the bus for that show?
Arnie Johnson.
He is the ultimate point guard, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, I would just take the TNT crew,
right,
and just sit them down and just have a show of them watching the game. And TNT, don't put it past him, by the way.
Right.
I wouldn't put it past him of just doing that. They have to pay him more. Barkley's going to retire soon, but I'm telling you, that would be cool. If you just took the TNT crew. By the way, I've never cried laughing at a show before, but those guys, when Barkley and Shaq get into it, if you just go to YouTube and type in Shaq and Charles just getting back in, I'm in tears laughing when those two piss one another off, because they do. They just try to agitate one another, and it's gold. It's TV gold.
I mean, they won a ton of awards for their shows, man. It would be good. It definitely would be good. I mean, they've tried a ton of things on Turner before, the players only, where it's nothing but NBA players or former players doing not only the broadcast of the game, but hosting the pre and post game shows and everything like that. So like you said, don't put it past them, because copying, that's what happens in this industry.
And if it works, it works. And I think TNT could. I think they have the best group of guys to do it at the highest level, but they already have the best pregame show, if you want a studio show, if you want to call. But I think you take those guys, put it on a Manning cast for NBA, I'd watch. But Stephen A., the guy that everyone hates, but yet everyone tunes in for, those guys cry. Skip Bayless, another one. Oh, he's the worst. Well, he draws ratings. Like, you can't say he's the worst when he's not the worst. If when people say that he's the worst, if he was the worst, he wouldn't be hired. If he was the worst, ESPN almost made him the highest paid employee to get him from Fox. They were so desperate to get him back, by the way, because they knew they were about to pull Max Kellerman off the show with Stephen A., that they were willing to work out a contract with Fox to allow Skip Bayless to still host his show with Shannon Sharp in the morning for Fox and do a show with Stephen A. Smith on ESPN. Like, they were willing to make that. That's how, you cannot tell me. And by the way, that would have only been better for Fox, because more eyes on Skip. Yep. He pulls those back to his show. It would have been cross promotion. I hate when people say that Stephen A. is the worst. He's not the worst.
Moves the needle.
Skip Bayless is not the worst. I know you got, and I hear that Colin's the worst. How can you say the three names I hear all the time? Colin Cowherd, Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith. Every time I hear people talk about, they're the worst. They're the worst. They're not the worst. They're really not. They're actually the best. They're the three best in this industry, whether you like it or not. I know that pains you guys, but it is what it is. Holy smokes. That was a long segment. All right.
Don't worry about it.
Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash with you here. 518-1410. Sorry to the callers on hold. I hugged that. You're next, though. 518-1410. Give us a call. We'll get you on hold, and we'll jump to you guys on the other side. But who would you want to see on the Major League Baseball's version of Manning cast? I'm curious, because for me, at the end of the day, A-Rod, I don't know if this. I don't think that cuts it. I don't. Three-time MVP, World Series champion A-Rod joins forces with Michael Kay, New York ESPN radio baseball voice, for 8 Sunday night games. They'll pair up and do a baseball version of Manning cast. I just think Pete Rose would be killer. I would love Pete Rose. Pete Rose would be the ultimate. I would tune in for that. I think that the same loose vibe you get with watching Manningcast, you would get that with Pete Rose. I think A-Rod's too, he's too buttoned up. He's too professional. A-Rod's very good at his job, by the way. He's just not entertaining, I guess, if you will, but he does provide that credibility of one of the best of all time. So there's that. But who would you want to see? Who would you rather see in this slot? And I want to hear your thoughts on the NBA as well. What would the best trio for the NBA's version of Manningcast be? 518-1410, or reach out on Twitter at 1410Kinner, 1410Kinner, Kinner, or at 1KevNash. We'll be back in a moment.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Millions of people use Zoom Phone, the innovative and feature-rich cloud phone system for businesses of any size. Zoom Phone is simple to use, whether you're on a mobile device, desktop, laptop, or desk phone. And because every call is important to your business, Zoom Phone was built with reliability in mind, using geographic redundancy to keep your communications online. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Visit zoom.com/phone system. Zoom, how the world connects.
This tax filing season could be one for the record books. There are thousands of dollars worth of new tax credits on the table, and Jackson Hewitt will help make sure you get every one you deserve. Tax credits for being a parent, taking care of a parent, taking classes, and so much more. Don't leave thousands on the table. Jackson Hewitt will make sure you get credit for all you do and get your biggest refund guaranteed. Learn more and find your nearest location at jacksonhewitt.com.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
And we're back with Limu, Emu, and Doug for the final question. Category is things you climb. All right, Limu, what do you think? You sure? We're going with Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. Oh, so close. We were looking for stairs. Huh. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Today on Hey Culligan Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener. Here's Kevin.
Hey Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
With the Peloton bike, there's always something new to try. We're adding new music to our artist series, new disciplines like boxing.
Fight your way through. Let's make it count.
So many new workouts to try on and off the bike.
Let's go, Peloton family.
There's always something new to keep you motivated. For a limited time, get a $550 value on the Peloton Bike Plus, $300 off plus free delivery and setup, a $250 value. All access membership separate. Limited time offer until January 9, 2022. Free delivery only available in continental U.S. Terms apply.
Want the same internet but more privacy? DuckDuckGo's got you covered. They help millions of people like you get privacy online without any trade-offs. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mainly clear, sunny, and cold, a high near 22. Tonight's going to be clear and cold, a low near 13. And tomorrow will be clear and sunny, a high near 40. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Propane, keeping utilities simple and families warm since 1952. See how and more at culletpropane.com.
The Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Help Center brings the courthouse to the community with its weekly outreach programs to local churches, libraries, and community centers. We help you navigate the legal system. Find a location near you at courthouse2u.com. Brought to you by Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Mike Foley.
Hey, Jim. Thanks for coming.
Are you kidding? I never miss one of your dinner parties. How's the new job?
We're growing fast, and I stopped working weekends thanks to how much smoother everything runs on NetSuite by Oracle.
Fantastic. We're still using QuickBooks.
Why haven't you upgraded to NetSuite?
We're making QuickBooks work, sort of.
Shh, watch your language. The kids are right there. Sorry, Amy. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, planning, budgeting, and more. NetSuite is everything you need to grow, all in one place. And 93% of surveyed businesses increase their visibility and control since upgrading from QuickBooks to NetSuite.
Yeah, sounds like it's time for me to switch to NetSuite. Over 27,000 businesses already use NetSuite. For the new year, NetSuite has a new financing program for those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/books. Head to netsuite.com/books for this special one-of-a-kind financing offer on the #1 financial system for growing businesses. netsuite.com/books.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers. 34 teams, 19 games, all in 4 days, live from Trenton Arena in Kettering. It's the 2022 Premier Health Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Invitational, January 14th through the 17th. Don't miss out on a chance to see some of the best local and national teams and players. Huntington Prep, Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary's, Wayne, Dunbar, Centerville, and more. It's the 2022 Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Invitational, live from Trenton Arena in Kettering. Get your tickets at flyingtothehoop.com/tickets.
Game time, you know what that means. Burgers, dogs, your favorite ice-cold beverage, and football. Hi, this is Kirby with Audio Etc. And if you're going to invite the gang over, you can't do it on that old-fashioned high-def TV. What you need to do is come by Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see the latest in 4K picture, 4 times the resolution of high definition, and experience it in 11.2 Dolby Atmos surround sound. Until you do that, you're just watching some big guys run around the field with numbers on it. See, hear, and feel what you've been missing. Installation available. 1 year, same as cash to QBs, not quarterbacks, qualified buyers, Audio Etc. Dayton's finest audio and video. And remember, all 4K TVs and projectors from Audio Etc. are gluten-free. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc's crazy cool showroom.
This is Matt Crowder live at the Shell station on 41st Street, reporting on the free gas app called Get Upside that's letting people all over the country earn cash back on every gallon of gas they buy. Excuse me, miss. Have you heard of the Get Upside gas app?
Of course. People are earning as much as $300 a year with the Get Upside app. It's so easy. Open the app to see nearby gas stations offering money back, pick the one you want, and get up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time you buy gas.
Wow. Well, there you have it. Stop paying full price for gas. Download the free Get Upside gas app and earn up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. This is Matt Crowder, Radio News Network.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to earn up to 25 cents a gallon cash back when you buy gas. Use promo code TODAY for a 50 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 75 cents a gallon on your next fill up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Get up to 75 cents a gallon cash back on your next fill up when you download the free Get Upside app and use promo code TODAY. Promo code TODAY.
Tired of being tracked online? DuckDuckGo can help. With one download, you can search and browse privately, avoiding trackers, all for free. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more.
All right, so that says too legit, right?
Sure.
One more time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be going on a vacation here in a week. I wasn't sure. People said they could barely hear me on the mic, by the way.
Crank it up.
And the problem is, welcome you back. Happy Friday. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here. The show brought to you by Tim's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. And, of course, Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. In fact, if you're looking to buy or sell your home, give Brad Mays a call today. 937-572-7425. Or give him an email. Brad Mays. It's very simple. Brad and Mays. Two easy names. Brad Mays, RE@gmail.com. If you're looking to buy or sell your home, give him a call today. He just helped my fiance and I buy our first home. Attention detail. I mean, every question we had, he had every answer. And what was really cool is kind of as we're looking through each house, he's done this for so long and worked so closely with inspectors that like he's able to he knows what he's looking for in these houses before we even get to inspection. There were some houses we turned down even before we even got to putting an offer in just because he was showing us red flags that were popping up. Very knowledgeable. I know there's some out there that just walk in with you and say, "Whoa, look, it has a fan. Look, there's a fireplace. Look at this." No, Brad was very knowledgeable about everything. And I'm telling you right now, like I would not have felt comfortable buying a home if we didn't have someone like Brad doing that. So give Brad Mays a call today, 937-572-7425. Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. I promise you he'll take care of you the way he took care of us. So the Manning cast got some interesting responses on this. So on Twitter, I think this name is Pabino. I'm hoping I'm saying this name right. It's either Pabino or Pabin, Ohio on Twitter. I'm not really sure, but I apologize if I butchered your name. But, it starts out kind of nice. He says, "Kinner, I don't often agree with you. Thanks. But you are 100% right about Pete Rose hosting the MLB telecast. Knowledgeable and entertaining." Thank you. Oh, you meant Pete is knowledgeable and entertaining. No. But yes, Pete Rose, I think he's the ultimate personality, Kev. Mm-hmm. Like, I think he's of all professional sports athletes, former athletes, the most entertaining one has to be him. And it could be up for debate. Yeah. But for me, if I was going to say, if you had to pick one athlete to host a show, Pete Rose, man, if he didn't have all this drama, didn't have all this mess, a radio host, a TV host, something like that to me, not getting to experience Pete post baseball is almost as bad as me not getting to experience Pete during his playing days. Because I think Pete would have been a treat for baseball post playing days.
And he moves the needle whenever he has an interview, everybody tunes in.
And he has like old school views, but it doesn't come across as get off my lawn because he says it like, you know what I mean? Because I think the problem is when people have an old school way of thinking, they almost put down the product versus explain why they still view that way. And Pete does a good job of really like, he talks about minor league baseball all the time and he just can't get over how wins and losses mean nothing in minor league baseball. He goes, winning is, you got to teach people to win. Mm-hmm. You got to teach guys to win. And he goes, there has to be a different way to teach guys how to win and lose than by saying that we don't care. Like he goes, pulling pitchers off the mound, that are pitching really well, heading into the bottom of the ninth inning or whatever. Like he said, that stuff just drives him nuts. I know there's a little tiny details, but I'm always fascinated hearing Pete talk about at the minor league level, the Reds have one of the worst win-loss records of all minor league baseball because they just don't care about it. Mm-hmm. It's not that they don't care about winning. It's just that they put such an emphasis on player development that, okay, you might develop a player from a skill set, but by the time they get to the majors, I'm not saying that they don't care about winning, but like you haven't instilled in them the importance of winning. I don't know. I don't know how to view that. It sounds like the right mindset, but I also understand the importance of we got to stick to pitch counts. We got to stick to reps. We got to stick to, not overworking somebody. We got to stick to, getting everyone opportunities on the mound, getting everyone opportunities at bat. I don't know what the right answer is there, but I do know the answer that always involves winning always sounds better. And that's what Pete Rose makes it. Pete Rose makes, I think, the wrong answer sound like the right answer, but that's why Pete does such a great job.
Pete Rose, when he speaks, everybody listens. When he shows up somewhere, I've seen him in Las Vegas with lines wrapped around the corner for signing autographs. And, I always know it's him when I go out to Las Vegas because I see that white hat and everything like that. Like people, and especially the old timers, they love him. And there's nothing better for the sport to get the younger viewers involved with the past because baseball celebrates its past unlike any other sport. So if you were to have Pete Rose a part of it, maybe he's not the main host, maybe he's the second guy or something like that. Kind of like how this whole K-Cast thing is going to go with A-Rod and everything like that. A-Rod is the name, but Michael K is going to be driving it. So you got to get the right driver with Pete Rose.
Pat McAfee. There it is. Actually, Pat McAfee, and like if the Manning cast ever goes away, Pat McAfee and Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, man.
For one, let's be clear, they already create, they do the YouTube live stuff. They don't even, it's not even on TV. His stuff's not even on radio, I don't think. We actually almost had a deal with Pat McAfee to carry him on air. The problem is they're not on air clean.
Yeah.
We almost had a deal done with them. But the problem is there was no way to be able to get the clean version of their show. And I don't,
sitting here.
I'm not going to be sitting here all day with the dumb button, right? But anyways, Pat met him in New York when I was there right before the pandemic. Got to know him a little bit and was really interested in finding a way to get his show on the air. But man, that would have been epic. But him and A-Rod, Aaron Rodgers, that A-Rod, create gold together. I think that would be it. So a lot of interesting stuff on here. Let's go. So Chad Kinser on Facebook Kev says NBA. You have to do it with Rodman, Shaq, and Barkley.
Dump button.
Rodman would be good. By the way, we had Ron Harper in when Keith Byers had Ron Harper in over the summer. I remember I got too comfortable sitting back because I was just enamored by the stories they were sharing, and I could hear Harper talk for hours. But he got a little too comfortable and was dropping some words, and I didn't get to the dump button in time and all that. But that's the thing, when you put these former athletes together, they get so comfortable. And they feel like they're on the golf course or something, and then boom, they let some stuff, kind of drop a little bit.
Surprised the double bird was the only thing to fly out of Eli's mouth.
There you go, Eli. To be fair, I don't even think he thought that was against the rules. I told Keith Byers because it was the Giants and the Eagles playing that night, and I said that was universal signal for fly Eagles fly. So there you go. Lamar Shelley Kev says in due time, LeBron and D Wade will probably do this with his production setup. That's another way. I think that would be interesting as well. I know everyone out there, LeBron, blah, blah, blah. Don't want to hear him talk. Whatever.
ESPN Plus did something similar to this with detail. With Kobe Bryant had a detail. Phil Jackson had a detail when The Last Dance was on. KD had one during the finals as well. So detail, this is like detail but live. And it's supposed to be entertaining as opposed to educational. So, yeah, there's a lot of formats out there because we love stars and we love to hear stars' perspective. So this is a home run for them.
No, it is. And more good ones coming. How about David Shaw? Finally, he has a great idea. It doesn't happen often, but Shaw, for the first time ever in the history of the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash, he had a great idea. He said, why don't you guys watch a game together and put on? It'll be, we'll mix it up. It'll be Nash and Kinner instead of Kinner and Kevin. It'll be Nash and Kinner. Well, we'll come up with something. We'll come up with a game. If we'll figure it out. We'll figure something out. It's actually not a bad idea.
It just depends on which game it's going to be.
So, there's on ESPN
Should it have
Radio,
been the Georgia-Michigan game?
Yeah, nobody watches that. Didn't you hear the Michigan-Georgia game? That was the third least watched game of all time, and it really was technically. But in all seriousness, ESPN Radio does a similar show on Sundays. I forgot the name of it. I should know as the program director what it's called because it airs every Sunday during the NFL games. We get to pick if we get to carry an NFL game on ESPN Radio or air this show. Bobby Carpenter, former Buckeye, does a show with the Fan of Columbus. He used to host it. For Golick Jr., Jason Fitz on there does it from time to time. But it's while all the games are going on, it's just a studio show that's going on while all the games are going on, and then they'll send it to the game for a little bit and then come back and have instant reaction. And it's kind of like Red Zone. It's a radio version of Red Zone a little bit. I think Red Zone's badass. I mean, really, it's all stemming from stuff like that. But it's cool seeing how all that's kind of gone on. But that Sunday on ESPN Radio, when I'm out driving around, if I can't watch the games, I have it tuned into that because they're just popping from game to game. And then you have the studio analysts who are kind of weighing in. They're taking calls. And I like it. I think you guys would like it too. If you can't be home watching the games, of course. Chad says you can't tell me that throwing Rodman in with Shaq and Barkley wouldn't be TV gold and 100% entertainment. No, it would. I don't think there's not a lot of the NBA. You have so many options.
Right.
And at football, you have a ton of options. But as I said earlier, baseball, they don't have any. That's the unfortunate part. Baseball does not have any options as far as that's concerned. Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Shout out to Brad. He goes, Sean Casey would be electric. I don't know if you guys have caught Sean Casey's podcast, but it is really good. Sean Casey would be good. Bronson Arroyo would be really good. I think this is where my homerism with the Reds is coming into play. But Bronson's really entertaining. We had him on last year during the pandemic. We did one of our Wing Live video that we did. He popped on with us. He had some great stories. Marty Brenneman. Even if you just did it to a Reds only. Actually, I would love to. David Bell may not want Marty Brenneman. But Marty and I, we would just.
Oh, man.
Yeah, there you go. I just set him up and watch him go. But Marty Brennan, but yeah, Sean Casey, Brad, absolutely. Billy Hamilton, just because of his voice, that would be fun. So there's that. Pete Rose and Nolan Ryan. I'm getting that one.
I remember Nolan Ryan had a dude in a headlock back when he played for the Rangers and beat the snot out of him.
You mean back, it wasn't one of those fake baseball fights? Not one of those holding me back?
This was legit. He charged the plate. Nolan Ryan put him in the headlock and started beating the crap out of him.
A player that would be he's playing now, so it wouldn't work. But Trevor Bauer would be excellent for this. Right now, his reputation's a little murky with everything going on, and I don't want to speak to that too much. It's kind of similar to what's going on in Houston with Deshaun Watson. I mean, we know the allegations. I don't know what the update on any of those situations is, unfortunately. But Trevor Bauer is super entertaining. He drives me crazy, but I would tune in. I mean, he's a draw. Larkin and Roger McDowell. That's from Mike Stapleton. Larkin, I'm curious as to why. I like Larkin. He's good and solid at what he does, but I don't know how entertaining is he. I don't know Larkin that well, so I couldn't too. Joe Morgan would have been great when he, RIP to one of the GOATs right there. Joe Morgan would have been awesome as far as that's concerned. Ron Howard said, man, thank you guys. You guys are chiming in left and right. The Ripken brothers need to host a show. That comes from Charles. Charles, I think this is the Charles. Charles, yeah. I opened the show with a lot of love for the Bengals, and I said it was because of Charles. Do I need to rehash that? No, I don't. Charles, I gave a lot of love to your Bengals. It's your fault that you missed it. Doug Toby says Kevin Millar, Sean Casey, Bob Costas. So there's that. And then the last one, y'all need to check out Kevin Garrett on YouTube. Who's Kevin Garrett?
I'm not familiar.
Paul, look him up. I'm not sure who Kevin Garrett is. I feel like we should know, unless not Kevin Garnett, right? That would be good too.
Oh, goodness.
Because he's the last of the old school. Him and Kobe were the last. I know people don't think as Kobe and Garnett is the old school. They were. Those were the guys that stopped. They didn't want to be friends, Kev. They just, in fact, that's why Ray Allen, they hate Ray Allen.
Yeah.
Because Ray Allen
played for the Heat,
left and joined the Heat with LeBron and then won a title with him. But the whole reason that they paired up or trioed up was to do everything they could to keep LeBron from ever winning a title, at least during their playing days. And then Ray Allen goes and literally wins LeBron a title. If there's no Ray Allen, LeBron has 3 titles and not 4 right now. So, yeah, there's that. He's the last of the old school guys. But I'll check out who Kevin Garrett is. I feel like we should know. Should we know who this is?
I don't know who that is.
Is this one of those, I can't believe these two idiots don't know who Kevin Garrett is?
When I typed that in, first thing came up was a musician. But I got one. I got mine. David Ortiz.
No, he did say, okay, Garnett. He was right. Garnett. Yeah, okay. Garnett would be perfect, Paul.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Who?
David Ortiz.
Yes, he's another one, too. I mean, not many guys can get shot by the cartel on vacation and still live about it to come host a show in the States, man. But no, he's beyond entertaining. Yes. Manny Ramirez was entertaining. Manny Ramirez and Ortiz right there.
Definitely had the dump button ready for Ortiz, too.
I feel like we're missing an obvious one in baseball. Man, this is 518-1410. Kev, who we got?
We got Tim.
Tim, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hey, man, thanks for holding, by the way. I know you were kind of patient. I'm in my ADD mode today, man. I'm not paying attention to anything. So it's a Friday, so I hope you're having a loose Friday, too.
Yes, sir. I want to say, first of all, I respect both you guys' opinions.
Thank you.
And one thing, and you were talking about the Bengals and the thing about their success. Everybody points out that they were the healthiest team in football. Also, when you go back to the Marvin Lewis days, everybody was in trouble. So the key to their success is discipline. they've had a more disciplined team this year, and you see the results of that.
No, that's a good point. Earlier in the year, I brought that up too. They did start to get penalized a lot more in the last month and a half. It wasn't much, but it was uncharacteristic because for that first month or 2 months of the season, they were the least penalized team in football. And I said that between being healthy and being the least penalized team in football, they're not beating themselves. So that's what was interesting. But you're right. And now that they've limited the turnovers, now they haven't had a turnover in 3 straight games. The fact that they've cleaned up the turnovers and that they don't beat themselves because they're disciplined, the Bengals have as good a shot as anybody heading into this playoffs, as much as it pains me to say.
Well, yeah, it pains me to say that too. And I just worry a little bit about their defense. You know what I mean? They're giving up a lot of points on the defense, but what I was talking about, like with the Marvin Lewis years, you always had somebody get in trouble off the field. A lot of people getting arrested and stuff like that, so the discipline's there too. Like they're more together as a team.
No distractions. There's no Antonio Browns. There's no Odell Beckham Jr.'s. And that doesn't have to be a receiver, but I mean, there's no Vontaze Burficts. There's no, Pac-Man Jones. There's no guys that you have to worry about being distractions off the field. And obviously the distractions on the field, that was Pac-Man Jones and Vontaze Burfict and guys like that. You're right. And that goes back to Zach Taylor kind of clearing the roster of those guys when he took over, which a lot of people were critical of, including me. But obviously he knew what kind of guy he wanted in that locker room, and now he has a full locker room of those guys, and it's paying off. As much as, again, I keep saying it pains me to say, but I got to give him credit.
Yeah, I got to give him credit too, and it's hard for me to root for him because the uniforms are so hideous. You know what I'm saying? That's the only bad thing I can say about the Bengals. Them uniforms, man. Oh man. It's just, but I'm glad for their success. I'm glad they can turn it around and not have, a bad disciplined team on the field and off the team, and they can get, and they can strive on that and grow on that. They got the young players. They can, work together and create a winning mentality there. They've been kind of a mediocre, and had a losing, so many losing seasons. I like to see them succeed and do well, just on that behalf. Everybody would, even Detroit. I'd like to see Detroit even do better. We're Browns fans. We get our hearts broke every week, seems like. When you lose games by 2-3 points all the time, or you're in the game and you end up doing something and you lose it, it's really hard to watch that, for any team.
No, I get, and it just seems, with how easy it is in the NFL to flip the switch and to turn things around, it's amazing to me how just some franchises just can't do it. The Jets cannot figure it out, and they're going on decades of that. The Browns just could not figure it out. I think this is the best stretch they've had in decades, and even this year was a disaster, but they at least have talent. They couldn't even get rosters with talent on it before, but at least they're slowly starting to figure it out. The Bengals, I thought that was the perception of them, but after Charlie brought this up earlier in the week, I went and looked at it. The Bengals have one less playoff appearance than the Steelers in the last decade, and they have the same amount of AFC North titles as the Ravens in the last decade, and they have 5 playoff appearances in the last decade, which ties them with the Ravens and Steelers. So they've had equal success as far as regular season and titles are concerned. They just haven't been able to win in the playoffs, and we'll see if Burrow can get that job done.
Well, what impressed me about him was when you get a stop on defense, he's going down. He's going to do all he can to go down there and get you 7. And that Chiefs game, he impressed me with that. The mentality to go out there, we got to go down here and get 7. And a lot of quarterbacks, I know they're thinking that, but are they doing all they can to get that done? And that's what impressed me about him.
Let me ask you this, Tim. When it comes down, would you rather have an average quarterback in Mac Jones and a great defense? And Kev, I want your thoughts on this too. Would you rather have an average quarterback in Mac Jones and a great defense like the Patriots have, or would you rather have a great quarterback like the Bengals have, an offense and an average defense? What would you rather have heading into the playoffs? I know everyone says defense wins championships, but it's like I know everyone's all enamored with the Patriots because it's the history of that franchise. But man, I would rather be the Bengals with an explosive offense and a great quarterback and an average defense than the Patriots with an average quarterback and a great defense. What say you, Tim?
I say I would go with the quarterback, but he's got to have that killer instinct like they showed me against the Chiefs. They never, even though it was down 14 points 3 times, they never gave up, and they showed it. They showed the reason why they've had success right there on offense. Yep. You're going to have ups and downs on defense. And sometimes on the defense, if one player gets hurt, a couple cornerbacks get hurt, you lose a linebacker or something like that, and it kind of breaks the mold of your defense a little bit, you know. And it's all about matchups. So, you know, once they know you put a second string guy there at cornerback, they're going to go after him, you know, and you see that all the time in the NFL. And I'd rather have the quarterback with a killer instinct and go down there and get you 7. Know that you're down in the game and they do all they can. Whether you got to call audible, switch it up, go to the run, go to the pass, just take what they give you. That's exactly what he did. And he impressed me in the Chiefs game. I'm not a Bengals fan, but I was kind of rooting that they beat the Chiefs just to see what they had, and they showed fighter and killer instincts in that game, and that's what you got to have you going into playoffs.
Kev, what about you?
I'm rolling with the QB and the offense. We've seen this with the Ohio State football team this year. If you have a dynamic offense and a dynamic quarterback, you can be in every single game, no matter how bad your defense is. So I got to go with the quarterback.
Fair enough. But hey, Tim, I appreciate the call, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Take care. 518-1410. 518-1410. The big question I have, and this literally just came to me before we step away, we're going to take your calls on the other side. But would you rather be heading into the playoffs? What would you rather have? And Bengals fans, take your fandom cap off. This isn't a shot at the Bengals at all. I want a serious answer here. Would you rather be the Bengals with an elite offense and a great quarterback and an average defense, or would you rather be the New England Patriots who have an average quarterback and an elite defense? Which would you rather have? Because really, you want to say, well, you feel better if you're a Patriots fan because it's the Patriots, but at the same time, take the brand of the team away. Would you rather be a team that has an elite quarterback and average defense, or a team that has an average quarterback and an elite defense? 518-1410. 518-1410. We'll get to your calls on the other side.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Saving at the Home Depot means you can do more for less. Like upgrading your kitchen with a top-rated Samsung kitchen suite, a smart range with air fry, a smart cooling system refrigerator, and a dishwasher with advanced quiet cycles. And with free delivery, the savings come to you. Shop in-store, online, or in the Home Depot app. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only while supplies last. Valid 1/6 through 1/26/2022. Free delivery on orders of $396 or more.
O'Reilly. This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. The education assistance I received made it possible for me to be the first person in my family to go to school and graduate debt-free. That education helped get me to the first day at my dream job, a job that I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job, plus the other benefits possible from the Army National Guard, helped me become a first-time homeowner. Also, part of my role as a National Guard soldier means I know that I can be one of the first to respond and help my community if disaster ever strikes. I'm extremely proud that I get to serve my community, and that first step I took by joining the Army National Guard has made all the difference in my life. Talk to your local recruiter or visit nationalguard.com to find out what firsts are available to you in the Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard. Aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
And now an important message from Exergen.
A critical new FDA study proves that non-contact thermometers are not accurate. They also have inaccurate information on their labels regarding accuracy. New COVID strains are on the rise, and non-contact manufacturers are being irresponsible at a time when accuracy matters. Accurate temperature measurements are essential. Switch to Exergen because they are accurate and backed by over 100 clinical studies. Be sure, be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back.
Totally changed my life.
It's amazing. I don't have any cravings. You want to quit, but have found it impossible? This is the thing for you. I have absolutely no craving. It's the darndest thing I have ever seen in my life.
It's not for entertainment. It's for results.
Do it. It works. Period.
You've tried everything else. You need to come and try this.
Only $49.99 guaranteed. Don't just cut down. Stop smoking. In addition, use hypnosis to lose all the weight and destroy unwanted cravings. Seminars Thursday, January 13th at the Holiday Inn in Fairborn. Weight loss seminar 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 to 10 p.m. And Saturday, January 15th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Dayton. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 to 4 p.m. More info at markpatrickseminars.com.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only two places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Fed up with companies selling your data? DuckDuckGo is on it. They help millions of people like you take back their privacy online. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
(518-1410), 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. We welcome you back. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash, hanging out with you here on a Friday. Didn't really mean to get into this conversation. I was trying to space some things out today, but I have no problem diving back into this Bengals topic. Phone lines are full, but I promise you, as guys drop off, keep calling. We'll get you loaded back in line. So, got to thinking, because yesterday we were talking about, man, which matchup would you rather the Bengals have come playoff time? You know, would it be the Colts, the Chargers, the Patriots, and talk about the Patriots and their defense and and all this. And I'm just thinking, man, I'm looking at this Bengals team right now heading into the playoffs in the AFC. There's not a lot of elite teams in the AFC, but there's parity in the AFC. I mean, there's not a big gap. I mean, as good as the Kansas City Chiefs are, you just watch the Bengals beat them. I don't think that the Chiefs are as far ahead as the rest of the AFC as what I think maybe the Packers or the Bucs could potentially be in the NFC. And even then with the Packers, I think there's still some question as far as how far off they are from the rest. They're 13-3 or whatever they are. I mean, like that's a hell of a record. Technically we shouldn't even be playing this week. There should not be 17 weeks in this regular season. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, but it is what it is. But with that being said, if you look at the Bengals and how they're set up, and you had to, you look at an elite offense, average defense. You were talking about, oh man, I don't want to pay the Patriots because that defense. And I'm like, well, which kind of team would you rather have? Take away the Bengals branding, the Patriots branding, take away the branding of all teams. If I'm telling you that you have to pick a style of team heading into a season or into a playoff, which would you rather have? Would you rather have a team with an elite quarterback and great offense with an average defense? Or would you, like the Bengals, or would you rather have a team like the Patriots that has an average quarterback, an average offense, and an elite defense? Which would you rather have? I said to take the brands away because I don't want you to fall in love with the pick of it, well, picking the Bengals because that's your team. But in all seriousness, think about it. I mean, hell, you could honestly look at the Bengals, Kev, from the 2010 run to 2015, that 2011 to 2015 run. That was an average offense. It was an okay offense with an average quarterback and a really, really good defense. I mean, they were making the playoffs and winning the division because of that defense. So the Bengals have the opposite of that this time.
Right.
They have that elite offense with an average defense this time. So which would you rather have? 518-1410. Kev, you said you would rather have what?
The QB and the offense. You always got a chance with a elite offense. So many teams have won the Super Bowl with average defenses. We saw the Kansas City Chiefs win it with an average defense just recently. So I'm going to go with the high-power offense with an average defense as opposed to the knockout superstar defense with an average quarterback for sure.
All right, I'm kind of the same way. This is why I'm pretty high on the Bengals heading into the playoff. I don't know what that means for me as far as where I'm picking them to go because I've been too nice this week. I can't stomach picking them to get to a Super Bowl, but you just watched them fresh off of last week beat the number one team in the AFC. And I don't really care who's technically number one rankings wise. I mean, or standings wise or seeding wise. You know, I know the Titans are technically, but let's be the Chiefs are the number one team in the AFC. But with that being said, I mean, that's another thing. Look at the Titans. I mean, average offense with a high powered run game and an elite defense. Would you rather have that or, you know, the Bengals offense and average defense? That's what you got to ask yourself. 518-1410. Elite offense, average defense, or elite defense with an average offense? 518-1410. Kev, who's going to kick us off?
Tyler on 4.
Tyler on 4. Tyler, how are you, my friend?
Doing good. Long time listener, second time caller, and I love your show, Kenner.
Thank you. It's Kev's show, too. Give Kev some love.
Oh, Kev, I love your show, too.
Because if it wasn't for Kev, it would not be the Justin Kidder show because I wouldn't have a show. Yeah, I'm just being honest.
Okay.
But, Tyler, I appreciate you listening and appreciate you calling, man. What you got for us?
So you said take the brands away because I'm a Bengals fan. I'm taking the brands away, right?
Take the brands away. Average, you know, elite offense and an average defense or an elite defense with an average offense. Which style of team would you feel better about heading into this playoff?
I'm going to have to say defense.
Okay.
And we've seen it time and time again. Defense wins championships. The Bucs didn't need vintage Peyton Manning last year. Kevin mentioned the Chiefs. Well, the Chiefs had the best defense from week 6 on in that season. First 5 weeks, they were awful. But from week 6 on, they had the best defense in the NFL. I didn't think Russell Wilson was that great, and they did it with a great defense. And when the Broncos won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning was awful that year, but that elite defense won them the championship. So I think I'd rather go with defense. Now, when it comes to the Patriots, I wouldn't do defense with the rookie quarterback though, because the rookie quarterback's never won the Super Bowl. So I'd say average experienced quarterback with an elite defense.
To be fair, I get that narrative that a rookie quarterback's never been to the Super Bowl, but I don't think it's because rookie quarterbacks haven't been good enough to get there. You just got to understand, rookie quarterbacks usually fall to teams that, you know, don't have a Super Bowl caliber roster. And the Patriots, they had a very good defense last year. Just half of them opted out because of COVID. And then you look at all the money they spent on the defense and offense this, past season. So Mac Jones may be a rookie quarterback, but he fell to a team that's not your traditional team drafting high, if that makes sense. So I see what you're saying, but I do think that the perception of, the rookies have never been good enough to take a team to the Super Bowl, I think that more so has to do a lot with the fact that the teams getting these rookie quarterbacks usually aren't good enough to get to a Super Bowl, and it's not usually because of the quarterback. But I definitely see what you're saying. I think that does make it a little interesting. Mac Jones is average because he's a rookie, and I see your point on that.
Yeah, I just think that we've seen several Super Bowls where the best offense has played the best defense, and every time except for one has the best offense won, and it was the Patriots versus Seahawks. And everybody knows that the Seahawks should have won that game if they would just ran the ball at the end.
Yeah, thanks, Pete Carroll. There you go. But Tyler, thanks so much, man. I appreciate the words. Take care.
Yeah, but the best defense in the league is almost undefeated against the best offense in the Super Bowl.
All right, man. Good stuff. And I think that's fair. Tyler, thanks. And that's that whole adage of, defense wins championships.
Right.
But it's just one of those things where defense wins championships, but this Bengals offense is pretty damn good. And I know it's a recency bias for me. And that's not the bias you would normally accuse me of when it comes to the Bengals. But we're talking Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow. and they don't need that defense to be elite. They just need it to. They needed to get some timely stops.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't look at the Colts. The Colts defense is good, but it's how good is it against the Bengals offense? The Titans defense is good. How good is it against the Bengals offense? I don't bring examples to me of Bengals earlier in the season. It's who the Bengals are right now. Kev, who is on 2?
We got Sean on 2.
Sean, how are you, my friend? How are you?
Hey, I'm good, Justin. How are you?
Good. I appreciate you being on hold for a bit, but would you rather have that elite offense and an average defense in the playoff, or that elite defense with an average offense? The Bengals have that elite offense with that average defense. Which side are you picking here?
Yeah, give me the elite offense with the elite quarterback, because, you know, like you just said, if the defense gets a stop, not 7 or 8 stops, a stop, that's all you need. And just also, you saw earlier this year with like Aaron Rodgers when they played in San Francisco, 32 seconds, right? So, or 32 or 37 seconds, right? That's all it needed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like because if you have an elite defense, right? Things happen. Defender falls down. You get that offense scores a touchdown. Then maybe you get a punt return for a touchdown or kickoff return for a touchdown. You're down 14 points, like the Bengals were this past week against the Chiefs on 3 different times. I'm sorry, but if that's Mac Jones, or if that's Trent Dilfer or anybody going back, like those 2000 Ravens teams weren't coming back from 14 points down three times in one game. So stuff happens. Always giving the guy, it's all about scoring points, right? Give me the best shot to score some points, and let's see who's ahead at the end.
Nope. Yep. Yeah. No. So that's why I'm confident in the Bengals heading in, is because if they had like a historically bad defense with a high-powered offense, I'm not going to give them really any attention. But the Bengals defense isn't bad. You got key secondary pieces. All right. The linebacker play is not terrible, and you have some pass rushers. It sounds crazy. It's like the Bengals have weapons at all 3 of those facets of the defense, but they're still not an elite defense. It's like, my goodness, like you would expect a little more. This is where the kid from Texas, I forgot his name. He got hurt the first preseason game.
Asai?
Yeah, Joseph
like
Asai or whatever. Yeah, like he would have been huge as another pass rusher on this team. But no, their average defense, elite offense. That's why I'm going to go with the elite offense. But hey, thanks, Sean. I appreciate the call, man.
Hey, by the way, real quick, this show is coming from a Bengals fan. This show is much better when you're hating on us, man. Like, I like you being nice, but it's much better. It's much better when you're hating. So it's okay to hate a little bit.
All right. I'm trying to find that balance, okay? It'll take time, but I'm just trying to recalibrate the show a little bit, if I will, okay? Hey, Sean, thanks for the feedback.
I appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
Don't encourage him, Sean.
I can't win.
Don't encourage him.
Now Alexa's yelling at me. What does she want? Alexa, off. Is it off? Oh, my gosh. So let me get this. And Sean, thank you. But now what's he yelling at me? Alexa's distracting me in the background. Kev, what the hell? I can't win.
That's funny. That's real funny.
See, this is why my bosses don't know what the hell they're talking about. Kidder, you got to stop, man. You got to stop. I think you're pushing. Too many away.
Too many buttons.
I think you're pushing too many buttons. We're getting, because if you guys call my bosses constantly. My boss doesn't care that I bash the Bengals. My bosses only care because it's creating work for them, because their phone lines light up, because all they do is get calls from you crybabies who call and have a problem because I have an opinion about your team that you don't like. That's annoying. And then I'll say, okay, you know what? New year, new me. I'm going to try something new. And then Sean's not the only one, by the way. You know how many messages I get on social media that are begging me, can you please go back to hating the Bengals? The show's way better when you hate the Bengals. It's like, so if I hate the Bengals, I can have my bosses pissed at me, and then if I'm nice about the Bengals, then you guys are mad at me. It's like I can't win. 518-1410. In all seriousness, no. But look, I'm not. It is what it is. I don't know what to do. 518-1410. Let's go. Is this the guy? Is this Bob? Is this Mr. Bob?
Yes, of course.
I won't hang up on you today. Just don't give me a reason to. But I do look forward to you calling.
You better not hang up on me. I don't even know why you hung up on me last time. I didn't say
I give the listeners what they want, and you said to hang up on you.
Oh, my God. No, I did not say that. I said, do you want me to hang up so you can keep talking? And then you hung up on me. Come on, Kev, help me here, man.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Man. You're a wild boy.
But Bob, do you see where I'm coming from? You wanted that high-powered offense, that elite offense and average defense, or do you want that elite defense and that average offense? Which one would you rather have heading into the playoff?
We agree. And in fact, I agree with what you said yesterday when you were saying matchups. I would much rather play the Patriots or some team like that all they want to do is run the ball than to play the team. I'm telling you the team who I would fear in the first round. I don't want to play the Chargers. And I know, Kev said, play the Chargers, it'd be a shootout. I don't want to play them guys. I'd much rather play Mr. Conservative, Belichick, because I think eventually the Bengals would be able to score. I'm not saying they go out and get 30, but I think they'd put up about 21, and I don't think New England would be able to match that. So I can't believe it, but Kev, I'm agreeing with Justin, man.
Wow.
You got to write this stuff down, man. I know.
So, and that's the thing, too, is like, if you play the Patriots, and I think people fear the Patriot brand, and I get it, and it's Bill Belichick, and the Patriots are really, really good, but at the same time, Joe Burrow in this offense, that style of play, you're like the Patriots are good because they rely on their defense, and they have an offense that that controls the clock. Mac Jones doesn't make mistakes; he makes just enough right plays. But I still think even if you slow down the Bengals, they're still going to put up enough points that's going to force Mac Jones to have to make plays that's going to take them out of their run game element. That's why I'd rather play the Patriots if I'm the Bengals than have to rely on a shootout. Because let's be honest, you guys beat the Chiefs this past weekend, and this isn't a shot at that victory, but that just came down to who had the ball last. That's how good Patrick Mahomes was, and that's how good Joe Burrow was. It could be a similar situation with the Chargers, and I don't want to rely on who has the ball last and hope that it's the Bengals. I'd rather have an opponent that I think you could dictate the tempo with, and I think you could dictate the tempo more if you were the Bengals going up against the Patriots than you can against the Chargers is all.
I agree with you 100%. And not only that, the best part, if you look at the stats, the best part of the Bengals defense is stopping the run. That's what they do very, very well. In fact, that's what I'm saying. Teams like the Patriots who rely on the run, I think the Bengals could shut down the run game. They're light in top 10 against the run, where they have issues at is sometime on the back end. Giving up the long ball. I don't think, and so with a team like the Patriots, I think that's a perfect matchup for the Bengals. My other take would be this. I think if the Bengals are in that number 4 hole, I would want to avoid the Kansas City Chiefs as long as I could.
Yep.
So if they're in that 2 hole, I would feel better even with the Bengals playing Tennessee. Because, Derrick Henry, he can get his yards. But again, the best part of the Bengals team, the defense, is stopping the run. They do the only time they didn't stop the run, of course, until they play the Browns, of course. That's always I don't know what goes on with that crap. But they have a problem stopping the Browns run. I don't know what goes on with that. But I agree with Justin. That's why I had to call it, tell you that, man. I agree with Justin.
That is a good way to end the week,
man.
That's a good way
man. I got you written down right here, right now.
Take care, Bob. Have a great weekend. I appreciate your call.
Friday, January 7th at 4:57 p.m. Bob and Kenner agree.
See, I always respect callers like that who they call and give me, they bring the smoke to me. I give it back to them. I hung up on him last time he called because he irritated me. But to be fair, I was irritating him. But he calls back. Like, that's what, we move on. Not everything. I hate people that say, "Oh, you don't tell me what I want to hear, so I'm not going to listen or talk to you anymore." That stuff drives me crazy. So, but that's why I like people like Bob, who and Charles and guys like that. Charles and I don't think we've ever agreed on anything, but the dude calls back every time, and we have fun with it, and that's what But I'm getting a lot of the Bengal hater. Kenner was better than but it was never. That's the thing you guys don't understand. I was never a Bengal hater. I was just a realist. And fans don't like people who are real about their team. They want to be told that their team's great. That's all. But it is what it is. I can't deny how good this Bengals team is. But the conversation was, would you rather have heading into the playoff a team like Cincinnati who has an average defense but an elite offense? Or would you rather be a team like the New England Patriots, who has an elite defense and an average offense? Now, they still put 20 points. I mean, let's be clear. Patriots put points up on the board.
Oh, yeah. They've scored 50 points twice this season and 40 another time this season. So, yeah, they can score.
They can do it. And, I call the Titans an average offense. They're elite just in a different way. I feel like the only time we dictate whether a team is elite or not is if they have an elite pass game.
Right.
Like, that's why people get mad at me about the Browns when I say that the Browns have an elite offense. have an elite pass game, but they have an elite offense because of the run game. But I see why people don't want to give the Browns credit for an elite offense. Not this year, obviously, with with everything that's transpired, but like last year. And that's kind of Tennessee right now. I see Schroeder getting all up in his feelings saying, where he goes, here we go with the Titans slander. And I said, no, not slandering the Titans. I said they had an elite defense. And I said their offense was average because they don't have a good pass game, and their pass game should be better when you have guys like Julio Jones and guys like that. But he don't play. I get that, but that's why they're not elite offensively, because they don't have their main guys in the pass game. And Ryan Tannehill's just not. He's an average quarterback. He's a Baker Mayfield. He's just an average quarterback. It is what it is. But 518-1410. Kev, who's up next?
We got Charles on 4.
Charlie. Who's next?
The Ron on 3.
The Ron. Oh, Ron, how's it feel, Mr. Drama-filled team?
Well, I can't control that, but
apparently I can control when my team has drama. See, you always call me and my team out for all the drama on my teams, but yet here your team is Mr. Diva himself, Antonio Brown. What's going on there? I maybe it's because of Tom Brady. Tom Brady couldn't handle playing with Antonio Brown. That's what it sounds like, Ron. Mr. Bucks fan.
The Tampa Bay Times was saying that with the Bruce Arians deal, he wasn't getting targeted, so he was pissed about that.
Oh, I'm sure there's an explanation. It doesn't mean it's a real one. I think your coach is a liar. That's why Antonio Brown put him on blast. Yeah, Ron, that's exactly what happened. Bruce Arians is a liar.
He brought receipts.
Okay. He tried to pretend. He tried to, and Bruce Arians is not a good coach. It took Tom Brady to get him a Super Bowl. I'm just saying, your team's not as good as you think, Ron. I'm bringing the heat today. I ain't gonna put up with any of you giving me so much crap about the OBJ drama. I'm dying laughing at your joke of a team right now. I can't wait to watch him not defend their Super Bowl championship.
Well, you're gonna watch it anyway. It's gonna happen. Anyway,
who's he gonna throw to?
Ask you,
Who's he gonna throw to?
And we got people that step up.
Do they have names? Who they gonna throw to?
Rashard Perryman.
Oh wow.
Ross Grayson.
Oh my goodness! Look out, world! Here come the Bucks.
Hey, you just watch. You're just jealous because you're going to be watching on the couch and we're going to be playing in the game.
It doesn't make any sense. I'm going to be watching on the couch. You'll be watching on your couch. What does that have to do with anything?
Hey, I want to ask you. I haven't heard 2 words from you in a long time. It was "Go Browns, go Browns." What do you say now, man?
I say
"Go Browns."
I say "Go Browns." I mean, what? That doesn't change. Browns aren't in the playoffs. I only talk about playoff teams. Browns aren't in the playoffs. That's why I'm talking about the Bengals. And if your coach would have lied a couple weeks sooner, I probably wouldn't be talking about the Bucks in the playoffs.
Well, guess what? He can be a liar, but he's a winner. Not like
no, Tom Brady's a winner. Your coach is not a winner. It took Tom Brady to get there before he won something.
But your question, I was going to answer defense all the way. I mean, look at all the average quarterbacks with the run game, kind of like your team was built to do, but there's still further notice. There's still the Browns. So
here's why, it is funny. Ron, I'll have to, even though I picked the offense, I will give you this. If you look at, in the last 10 years, you look at the fact that guys like Nick Foles have won a Super Bowl, that Jared Goff has got to a Super Bowl. You look at these average, even Peyton Manning, average, below average, bad Peyton Manning won the Super Bowl. In the last 10 years alone, bad to average QBs have won Super Bowls or nearly won Super Bowls. So, it's because of those defenses. So I'll give you that as far as that's concerned. But I think we're falling in love with the flashiness of these offenses. That's why I'm still saying, even though I know in the back of my head defense wins championships, I still just can't look at this Bengals offense or that Chiefs offense and pick against them. And those are 2 teams with average defenses. So that's kind of why I'm like, I have to roll with one of those 2.
Like a Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson, even Russell Wilson, when he won, he had a run game and a defense.
Yeah, he's better. He's an elite quarterback now with a bad defense. When he won his Super Bowl and got to back-to-back Super Bowls, he was an average quarterback because he was young with those elite defenses. But no, you're right. See, we can get along, Ron. It's possible.
Yeah, and listen, I'm going to be nice, okay? I hate to say this, but hey, congrats on being a new homeowner, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate that. It doesn't feel real yet. It's going to take a furnace going out, or we need to put a new roof on that baby before I feel like a homeowner. But there you go.
Well, don't call me to help you move, okay? I ain't going to do it.
I'll move solo before I call you, Ron. You're like Bruce Arians, unreliable.
All right. I just wanted to say Happy New Year, and it's good to hear the show back on. 2 weeks was kind of a dead zone there, but everybody loves the show, and we can get along. I might show up at Fricker's Super Bowl Sunday.
Don't threaten me, Ron. Don't threaten me. But Ron, take care. Have a good weekend.
All right, you too, man. Bye.
Man, people hang up quick. I never remember us picking up the beep of the hang up. Like, people are like, okay, bye, click. It's like these guys can't wait to get off the phone with us. They're just like, bye.
They called us.
I mean, Justin Kinner, Kev Nash will be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
70% of the Fortune 100 choose Zoom. With phone, chat, workspaces, apps, events, and video in a single platform, Zoom powers all your communications. Large enterprises, small businesses, and individuals use the secure Zoom platform to enable new ways of working, learning, hosting events, and supporting their customers. And now you can save 15% on meetings, chat, and phone with a Zoom United bundle. Visit zoom.com/bundle. Zoom, how the world connects.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
When you have trouble sleeping, it's tough. When kids have trouble sleeping,
Mom, I can't sleep. Dad, just one more story?
for nights like this, try Vicks Pure Z's Kids. Our great tasting gummies are specially formulated for kids with a unique blend of botanicals and a low dose of melatonin to support their natural sleep cycle. Best of all, they're drug-free and non-habit forming. Help your child fall asleep naturally with Pure Z's Kids Gummies. Consult with a doctor before use. For ages 4 and up.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
34 teams, 19 games, all in 4 days, live from Trenton Arena in Kettering. It's the 2022 Premier Health Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Invitational, January